to our post-week market review. So jumping straight into things here and keeping things short and sweet. Let's go ahead and mark up from the start of the week. So this being our first candlestick, as you can see, price ended up coming up and then dropping down prior to the first London session, and price since then created higher highs and higher lows. We saw a sort of consolidation block. As you can see at this area here, we saw a high created followed by another higher high and a higher high here, with price sort of consolidating in between this sort of range here. Price then continued on bullish from this level, and then ended up coming up above this level, breaking structure and then testing at a previous resistance as a support, indicating to us that price was going to continue on bullish, and in fact price ended up doing so. And then price created a couple highs and followed by some more consolidation, with price then closing within one of our points of interest at around 3,335. So from what we can see in front of us as of right now, what can we see? So we can see that gold has been extremely bullish this week, with the strength of the buyers. The strength of the buyers is definitely clear and definitely visible, and with the market closing at one of the highs, we can see that the buyers are definitely still in control. So let's go ahead and just go over what we can see has happened. So what's happened? So obviously we created these 2 points of resistance, ignoring this level here. We created these 2 points of resistance, marking it in here, and as you can see, we saw that break, the break of structure here, and then the retest at this level where price then bounced off of. We can see the same sort of scenario happening here, where we sort of found this resistance at this level here, and price ended up coming back up to, breaking through this level and then coming back down to test it as a support. Price then continued on and creating newer highs, and then sort of began to consolidate. So the interesting thing about this current consolidation that we are seeing, it is the same sort of pattern as we just marked up. So if I go ahead and grab a trend line for you, you can see here that price ended up going, so we created one high followed by a higher high and a third higher high. However, the difference between this consolidation sort of area here and this one here, obviously this period has been shorter than this period. This started from the start of the week till about Wednesday evening, and this one has obviously started at around Friday and then ended up closing Friday evening. So a shorter and a more congested consolidation area. However, it's still going to be treated as consolidation. But going back to my main point, as you can see, this one we've created higher highs. This one we're creating lower highs and lower highs. So what could this mean? So this sort of means that, okay, cool. So we had our original, so obviously this whole entire area here was mainly consolidation. As you can see, we were consolidating. As you can see now, we are testing a previous high, which is a very, very important level. Why is it such an important level? Because it was the last level, for example, here, when we found that new all-time high for gold, it was the sort of last level here that price sort of staggered at. Price became, congested at this area. We saw price struggle to break through this level, and we saw price sort of vibrate, if you will, at around this price. And as you can see, we then saw price test it when we thought, okay, we saw the drop after this previous all-time high was created, and price came back up. Obviously this level was hit, indicating to us that it is a stronger level. If I can go ahead and grab this and drag this for you real quick, you'll see what I mean. As you can see, it is that last level of sort of congested buyers and sellers before price then pushed up, creating that new all-time high. So going back to the week at hand, price is currently testing within that level. However, we have two trend lines that we can mark in at this price on our hour one. These being this, so as you can see, we have sort of have a bearish a bearish triangle here, a bearish wedge, if you will. And what we're expecting price to do is sort of come to around this area here, which is going to be sort of prior London session, and then throughout London session picking up volatility and picking up more volume. Price will then decide where it wants to go. So there's a couple scenarios that we're going to expect for gold this week. If we see price break through this top level trend line and break through these last 2 points, these last two lower highs, price most likely will continue on and eventually breaking through past this level, giving us a firm and confident break of structure, with price potentially coming back down to test it as a support at previous resistance, and then continuing on bullish, finding a new all-time high, which will be around obviously here where the last previous all-time high was. The second scenario is obviously going to be a bearish scenario. So obviously we have created a we created a high followed by a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. But is that right, what I've just said? No, it's not, because obviously we created our high and then we created our higher low. And then we created a lower low, but we also created a higher low. So what does that indicate to us? It indicates to us that the market is still within that consolidation or congested area, and price does not know where it wants to go as of yet. Obviously, upon market open, it will all depend on who is in the market or who has more confidence in the market, whether the buyers are more aggressive or the sellers are more aggressive. We are yet to still find out. Obviously, come Monday, I will post a start of week write-up. What I will do is I will create and post this nearer towards the end of New York session. That the reason for that being is obviously I want the market to sort of play itself out as much as I can before the New York session, before the Asian session kicks in, so we have a better understanding of what we could expect. Because, for example, tomorrow we could see some extreme volume and extreme volatility, and price could end up doing one of these two moves, with price breaking up, clearing these previous highs, and continuing on bullish. Again, going back to our bearish move, it's going to be the same sort of scenario as the bullish move. We're going to expect to see price break through this bottom level of support, marked and indicated by this green trend line, followed by a break of these lower lows. So obviously, if we see that final break anywhere sort of around this level here, we're going to expect price to come back down to our next point of interest, where we look for price to find support at 3,395. So with all that being said, keeping things short and sweet, there's no point waffling on too much about unnecessary information. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're seeing for our post-week market review. The conclusion is we have seen a extremely bullish week for gold. Gold is getting closer and closer to that previous all-time high of around 3,500. We are at a crucial point for gold, and if we see that top side resistance broken through and these previous highs broken through, we most likely will at some point next week see a new all-time high created. However, if we see price become bearish and the sellers take control and break through this bottom line trend line and then break through these lower lows, we most likely will see a bearish continuation, and we'll have to wait a little bit longer for price or for gold to hit a new all-time high. So again, that's going to be our post-week market review. I hope you have all enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.